All right, guys. I'm just gonna give a little bit of background to set up my favorite parable in the New Testament, and I'll kind of go from there. So I grew up overseas in a loving Christian home. My parents are, yeah, they're on fire for Christ, and they're perfect examples of what it means to live like, or try to live as best as you can like Jesus. Once I was a teenager, around 14 or 15, for a good 5, 6 years, I kind of decided to just veer off into the world and do my own thing. Yeah, and I've experienced a lot more than many people my age have as far as, I guess, worldly desires and pleasures. So I've seen a lot, and through it all, I know that as gratifying as it is, maybe in that instant moment, that it's certainly not, it's not great in the long haul. And so this kind of sets up my favorite parable. I've heard this 1,000 times growing up. I've read little books with pictures and all sorts of things, but the prodigal son never really made any sense to me or never made an impact on me until about 3 or 4 months ago. I was just doing some chores, listening to Keith Green. He has a song called The Prodigal Son Suite. And as the song was going through, I was like, wow, like, this is intense. Like, what is this? And, like, this guy's awful, And he, in the end, when I realized it was the prodigal son and the grace that comes with just wanting to come back to God. It really hit me, and I started to tear up. Because, yeah, I mean, for a good 4 or 5 months, since I've been going to Sideris now, I've really started getting back in the swing of, I was always raised right, and I've always had good morals, and I've always been a pretty positive person, but I've just had my faith in the wrong place. I've made a lot of worldly idols out of things. So yeah, one time when I just transferred to SPU this last quarter, I had a Bible class, and I was always so appalled at why Moses wasn't led into the Promised Land. This man was one of God's greatest prophets. He led them out of Egypt, and just for striking a rock instead of listening to God's exact commands, he was banned from ever entering the Promised Land that he worked so hard to reach. And I was so appalled by that, but I think in retrospect, the reason I was so taken aback by that is I was so worried for my own life. I was like, I've grown up in all this church stuff, and I knew what was good and what was right, but I ran away so far and so hard that I was like, Moses is the best man. He just struck a rock and he's not going into heaven or the Promised Land. I was like, what's that going to do for me? So I think that really got me thinking about life and, like, I need to make a difference in this world. I can't just, have to say I have an occupation for a living and be happy with that. There's got to be a greater purpose to life. So, yeah, over the last few months since attending Sideris, making friends here, and through Alpha, I've really begun to be a more positive impact at my work, at my internship, in my home. A couple of the people that live with me, they've really seen a big change, and got one of them to come to Alpha with me just because they knew there was something different about Nate and I. So yeah, I've just, the best way to see God working in your life is to look back at it. So now that I've had 5 or 6 months of being back in the swing of church and all this sort of stuff, I've kind of been able to see the way God works and really start witnessing for Him and being a good man out in the world there, because there's a lot of angry, misled, younger people my age nowadays, and it's quite daunting to think of where this world might be headed. So yeah, in everything I do, I just try to, make a positive impact. But I know that I won't be able to do it without all of you guys. I know a lot of you here, and some of you are my great friends. I've never met a lot of you as well. So right now I'm witnessing not only to you guys, but to everybody here that's walking by, listening. But I'm ready to be different. I've had such a struggle with whether or not I wanted to be baptized, because I was talking with Dave, like, man, I'm not righteous yet. I've got to be, in my head, I had to be almost perfect, or, very, very, very good. And Dave reminded me, there's only one person that's ever lived like that, and that's Jesus himself. So you can't, as much as you'd like to aspire to that, you can't be perfect before you get baptized, because that day will never, ever come. So here I am to witness to you guys that I might still mess up. I am still young. I am still human, but I'm trying my very best, and I do try very, very hard to bring glory to God in everything I do, whether that's from the minute I wake up saying some thanks to Him and just thanking Him for the life I have, or helping random strangers on my way to work, on my runs every day. I've helped people move boxes into their house randomly, like, oh, do you live here? I'm like, no, you just needed help. You're really struggling, So it's just trying to make this world a better place little by little. And I think that brings a lot of glory to God, because there's people that are just so wrapped up in their own lives, and life does get very busy. I'm working 7 days a week. I've got school, I've got studies, but you still always have time and energy to give something back to your community and the people around you. So I'm here to witness that. That's what my intent is to be a joy to be around and to bring joy into other people's lives, because without help from each other, this life, you're never going to make it through. God intended for us to help each other when He made another human out of Adam. So we have to help each other, and I'm here asking for your help, and I'll try helping you guys as well. But I want to weep together, rejoice together, and most of all, I want to get closer as a community and help bring God to Seattle. So,
yeah, man. Yeah.